She rolled onto her back again and with a giggly eagerly pulled her panties down and around her ankles, exposing her drippy pussy to the girls. The girls were embarrassed, but at least Sarah's predicament was temporary. They reasoned with, unlike poor Jean. She's not going to, is she? Asked Anne in fright, though her question was answered not a moment later. Wasting no time, Sarah plunged the pole into her own eager vagina. Apparently it was doing the trick, because she let out a temporary yell. Yes! Ah! She shouted. Fuck! Good! Ah! She gripped the pole with her own might and thrust it up and down, forwards and back. She quivered like jelly as orgasm after orgasm washed over her. She thrashed her head, sending her glasses flying across the room. Still she thrust vigorously. She felt a final orgasm on its way, this one bigger than the rest. She tensed up with one final push, drove the pole deep as she could. Her legs held close together, but the panties around her ankles kicked instinctively with pleasure, and she collapsed on her back. Unfortunately for her, in that last moment of bliss, her hand accidentally pressed a button on the pole. The same button the Oompa Loompas pressed to convert the apples into proper candied apples. She didn't know this, of course, as she had been preoccupied, to say the least. Nor did she notice the long, thin machine hum to life as she lay in post-orgasmic bliss. Red hair plastered to the side of her face with sweat, Sarah blinked up at the ceiling. Her lust sated. Her thoughts were slowly returning to her. Although deeply embarrassed at her actions, the experience had been unlike anything she had ever felt before. The other girls approached her. "Sarah, are you okay?" asked Kristen with concern. Sarah lazily ran a finger along her sides and giggled. "Can we do that again?" she said, exhausted. Relieved, everyone had a good laugh. "No, seriously though, I'm fine. Just kind of embarrassed." "Don't worry about it," said Angela. "We're just glad you're okay." Everyone else nodded. Sarah smiled back. "Well, don't worry about me. I'm fine. Though, can you help me find my clothes?" She reached down to gently remove the pole from her vagina. "I think I kicked my pants in that direction, and..." She pulled at the pole, but it wouldn't budge. She tried again, with a bit more force this time. And I think my blouse is, Still the pole remained firmly in place. "What's wrong?" asked Giselle. It's stuck." Sensing that something was amiss, Wonka finally turned from the wall to face the girls and approach them. "Is everything all sorted out?" he began, but stopped himself when he saw just what Sarah had used to pleasure herself. "Oh no," he thought. Sarah leaned up and tried to grab hold of the pole with both hands, but that proved to be just as fruitless. After a few seconds of pulling with no results, she felt a tenseness build up in her belly. She fell back on her back and grimaced. "Sarah, what is it?" asked Tiffany. Sarah was rubbing her stomach as if soothing the pain. A loud gurgling sound could be heard. I don't know," she huffed. I feel funny." As she said this, to everyone's horror, the poor girl's belly started to rise. It pulsed forward a few inches or so, like a balloon being filled with water. Several girls shrieked at the sudden expansion. "I thought you said she was safe," shouted Tiffany. "Well, the taffy was safe. I didn't realize she had used one of our candied apple rods on herself. That, I can assure you, was not safe." "I'm sorry. I didn't," whimpered Sarah, still lying on her back. She tried holding her belly in place, but that just made it push back angrily, growing another inch or so. Ah! Her belly had grown a slight sheen and felt almost sticky against her hands. In response, both her ass cheeks ballooned out as well, pushing against the floor and forcing her middle to rise off the ground, putting her in an awkward position. What's happening to me? Wonka sighed. Remember how I said our candied apples weren't just coated in candy?